Good morning, YouTube. It is 7:55 in the morning. I've been up for the past hour. I got up actually just before 7. It was like 6:50. And I got a bunch of stuff to do today. But one thing I wanted to do before I let it um, linger any longer is just basically do a really quick cleaning of my sidearm and just lubricate it. It hasn't been fired in a while. I haven't taken it to the range, but even with that, when you are a responsible firearms owner, you want to do your best to take care of your firearms, because when you need them, you want them to be ready and functioning in the event of something where you definitely need to use it to defend your life or your family's life or your neighbor's life or your dog's life. Or to even to defend your country in case of some type of a crazy terrorist attack or an invasion or something. Bottom line is you want your firearm to work. It's a tool, and whenever you have a tool, you maintain your tools, because your tools will help you in many situations. If you work on your engine of your car, then your tools should work. Otherwise, you're going to have a broken tool and then a broken engine. And what's the point of having a tool if it's non-functioning? So a firearm is the same thing. It's no different than a tool. It's just like having a screwdriver or a hammer. If you have a hammer, you're going to need a nail. But if the hammer has a cracked tip and it's wobbly and you got the nail, what good is the hammer if you can't drive the nail? Same thing in this case. It's just a tool. There's no morality to it. There's no good or bad. It's not evil. It's not good. It's just a tool. If a screwdriver is not evil or bad or good, if a hammer is not evil or bad or good, it's just a tool. It's how you use the tool. Same thing here. All this is without anybody on the trigger is just a piece of metal, and that's it. It doesn't have any morality to it. So, that's just to dispel that right off the bat. Of course, I'm a firearms advocate. I am a believer in the Second Amendment. I'm a believer in all of our amendments. The U.S. Constitution was well written. It took 11 years of peaceful effort from the founding fathers to write that document. And why did they write it? Because they were sick of the stuff that was going on in England, the tyranny, the dictatorship, the high taxes, the socialism, the monarchy, the king's rule, the dictatorship stuff, the high prices on everything, and the lack of freedoms, you couldn't speak out against the government, you couldn't speak out against the king, you couldn't voice your opinions, you couldn't defend yourself unless you were an aristocrat and you were wealthy in the upper elite, which is exactly what socialism is. It creates an elite class and then the ultra low tax paying class that's subservient to the government and dependent upon the government. We don't want that. We want freedom. We want capitalism. We want opportunities. You want to be able to pursue your dreams, go to college, work hard, start a business, or work for the company you want to work for, or become a doctor or a lawyer or a bus driver or a police officer or a military person or a stay-at-home mom, or work for the city or work for the county, or again, start your own business. Whatever it is you want to do, become a singer, a dancer, an actor, a producer, a director, a craftsman of some sort. You have the options and the opportunities in a free society like we still currently have, which is dramatically being attacked. I've never seen it I'm 53. I'm going to be 54 this year. I've never seen our freedoms so dramatically under attack as they are now. In 2021, we're up against it. That's not what this video is about. I got off track a little bit. The whole idea is I just wanted to do a quick video on this. People ask me about this gun all the time. Why I like it. I did a video on why I like the 45 ACP. Reference that. as far as the specifics of this gun, I've done several videos on this particular firearm, which is the Sig P220R. I have another video out on my Glock 21 SF, and then I have a Glock 27. I need to do a video on that, and then I need to do a video on my 1911, and but those are coming. Meantime, this is my kind of like staple right here, the sidearm that I use mostly for home defense. But ultimately, what I'm going to talk about today is the fact that even though I didn't fire it recently or nothing like that, the last time I fired it was probably a year and a half ago or something like that. It's been a while since I fired it. But that's not the point. After you fire it, you want to clean it and then lubricate it, right? But then say you don't fire it, like in my case, for a year and a half, it still needs to be lubricated. It may not need to necessarily be cleaned, thoroughly cleaned, but it does need to be maintained or maintenanced. Basically taken apart, kind of little once over, and then light coat of oil to prevent the parts from rusting and to keep everything lubricated so that it functions. You got metal on metal, so those two surfaces are metal rubbing against each other. You want to have a barrier, lubricant oil that penetrates the metal. And in this case, the upper slide is steel, forged steel. It's like a stainless steel that's been, anodized with some type of a nitron coating or something like that. It used to be phosphorus, but they went to nitron or it's like some type of a resistant coating that resists wear and it resists corrosion, which obviously is true because I haven't cleaned this thing in like a year and a half. And it's not corroded, it's not rusted, there's no problems. I usually keep it in a little bag, and I'll show you the bag. I keep it in, this is like a little pistol bag. And this goes right in there. And then the spare magazines can go right in there too. There's pouches for that. So this little bag, I think, cost me, literally, I'm not even joking with you, I think I paid $4 for this bag. But you can put cleaning stuff in here, spare ammunition, brushes, oils, stuff like that. I even have some hand sanitizer in there as well, spare rounds and things like that. Bottom line, this thing is well worth it. I don't know if they still sell them, but they sell stuff like it. So again, I'm not going to go through this complete thorough cleaning because it hasn't been fired in about a year and a half. And the last time I fired it, I cleaned it thoroughly. So it doesn't need a complete thorough cleaning. What it does need is some basic lubrication and maintenance. Real simple. So I'm just going to cover, it's not even going to take me long to go over this. The magazines also need to be maintenanced. It's part of this process. First thing, what I did, what I can show you here is I got a microfiber cloth, which you see right here. So whatever surface you're going to put it on, whether it's a wood surface or porcelain or whatever, get yourself some type of microfiber cloth, put it on top of that, or a towel. See, it's 8 o'clock and it is February 3rd. So, there's my watch. Also, things you're going to probably need is a flashlight, and I'll show you why. You're going to be like, you need a flashlight to clean your firearm? And I'm like, yes, you do, and I'll show you why. You're going to need a good bristle brush. This one, and you want it to be plastic or wood, preferably plastic or polymer with nylon or some kind of soft bristle brushes, not metallic. These are like a nylon or polymer type material, and then on the small end you see it has same thing. And I recommend these kind of small brushes. You can buy these like a 10-pack of these on Amazon for just a few bucks, like $10 or something, I don't know. But they last for years. They literally last for years because I have a 10-pack, and you're only going to clean your gun after you fire it, or if it gets dirty, or if you in the mud, or if you're going to do regular maintenance, which is what I'm about to do, which is semi-regular maintenance. So you're going to need microfiber cloth, You're gonna need a bristle brush, nylon plastic bristle brush, and you don't need it, but I think it's good to have. Is a light, flashlight, small flashlight source, and you're gonna need some type of lubricant or CLP. CLP stands for Cleaner Lubricant Protective. It's a type of a solvent slash lubricant. CLP, Cleaner Lubricant Protectant, it breaks down carbon deposits and carbon fouling after you shoot the gun. If you shoot the gun, you're going to get carbon fouling, carbon deposits built up on the surfaces of the metal. The CLP, when you apply it, it breaks that stuff down, which is good because then you can come back later and clean it again. So when you fire a weapon like this, or any type of shotgun or pistol or rifle, you're probably gonna want to do about 4 to 5 days of cleaning, because when you apply the CLP, the Cleaner Lubricant Protective, it's gonna be after you put the gun back in, say, like a little bag like I just showed you, or wherever you keep your gun, in a safe or whatever. That carbon cleaner, that CLP is breaking down the carbon, and then the next time you see it, even though it was clean when you cleaned it, it's gonna have like black carbon residue that you're gonna wipe off again, and you're like, man, I just cleaned this thing yesterday. It's because it's still breaking down. So for the next week after you shoot it, you should clean it every day for like 10 minutes, 15 minutes a day for like 5 days straight. And then on that last day, give it a really good oiling, not overly oiled, I'll show you, but a good solid oiling, lubrication. Then you put it away. Like I said, in my case, I'm gonna just keep it in something like this, which is like a soft bag. Perfect. And then it can remain lubricated in that bag. Oil's not going to get anywhere, blah, blah, blah. So I'm going to show you two options. There's a brand called Break Free, which is pretty common. We used it in the Marine Corps. I like it. It's a cleaner lubricant protectant. Again, it's called Break Free. You can find it anywhere at Big Five or Walmart or online. I don't have any of that currently. So what I do have, again, I'm not doing a thorough cleaning. I'm just going to do basically a basic cleaning and a lubrication. That's the main thing here, is to lubricate the gun. The gun is very dry. It hasn't been fired in a year and a half, so it doesn't need to be thoroughly cleaned. It just needs to be lubricated. But it does need a little once over. So all I'm going to basically do here is a lubrication series. What I have here that I got at Big Five is something called Hoppy's number 9. And all this is a lubricating oil. It's a high viscosity and penetration lubrication oil. So this stuff, high viscosity, is what you want when you're dealing with engine parts or moving metal across metal, or guns, firearms, because there's metal surfaces, touching metal surfaces, rubbing against metal surfaces. So you want some lubricating oil that has penetration, which this does, and high viscosity, which that when it's viscous, it's more slippery. Like, trying to break it down into layman's terms, high viscosity is more slippery. You want that because then it rides across the metal parts in such a way as so that the metal parts don't wear each other down, because you got the surfaces touching. So hopefully that makes sense logically, right? I like the Hoppy's 9. It works, and I like the way this little thing opens up like that. If you don't have any of this, but you're at home, almost every home I know has 3-in-1 oil. It's super common. You can find this at Big Five, Target, Walmart, what else? Harbor Freight, Sears, you name it. 99-cent stores, markets, Ralph's, Vaughn's, whatever, liquor stores. This is one of the most common household products for oiling things that need oiling, lubricants, for instance, bicycle chain, maybe a frozen lock. You have an old lock that it's all rusted shut and you need some oil. This is the same thing as you see here. It says lubricates, it penetrates rust, and it cleans. So the 3-in-1 has it's like cleaner lubricant, protectant like a CLP, lubricates, penetrates rust, and cleans. It has a similar type of function like a CLP. This is not designed specifically for firearms, but it has that as an option. And I think it even had a picture on one of the older bottles that I used to have of a picture of a gun. And this company has been making this since 1894, which says right there, 1894. So 3-in-1. It's long lasting. It's also high viscosity, so it has a viscous. It's basically the same as this. These two things, I bet you if you looked at the ingredients in there, there's not a lot of difference. They're both oils. They're both lubricants. They both help with rusty metal to free the rusty metal of the rust. I'm looking on the back here, and there's nothing significant except for some safety information and a picture of the fact that you can use this with bicycle chains or whatever. But ultimately, okay, this one says it contains petroleum distillates, and if swallowed, do not induce vomiting, call a physician, keep out of reach of children. And 3-in-1 is a registered trademark of and manufactured for the WD-40 company. So I didn't know that. And they're based out of San Diego. So 3-in-1 oil is a registered trademark of and manufactured for the WD-40 company. You learn something new every day just from reading. Okay, so I read the ingredients here, which contains petroleum distillates. But this one doesn't show anything as far as that goes. It just says, warning, this product contains chemicals known to the state of California, cause cancer and/or birth defects and reproductive harm, which everything nowadays can kill you. Everything can kill you. Cigarettes, alcohol, bad diet. You get with the wrong spouse, they can kill you. You just got to be careful. All right, so let's get to this doggone thing real quick because it's not going to take long. Number one, I have a magazine inserted. The gun is empty, but I'm going to show you that it's empty. This magazine is also empty. As you see, there's no rounds in it. These magazines are made in Italy. They're basically Metgar magazines. They're really well made, stainless steel. There's no like it's a blend. Like when they put this together, you can see that there's no, I forgot what you call that. They're like a mark where that would be like kind of welded together. You don't see that here. It's just a well-made magazine. First things first, lock it to the rear. I have the magazine there. You check in there. You see that there's nothing. And here's where the flashlight comes into play. You look in there. You see the chamber. There is nothing in there, right? And you can see obviously there's nothing in the magazine. I like to do it that way. Drop the magazine. Obviously it's empty. And turn this light off. Side note, I got this light on Amazon, and it is cool because it is rechargeable. Of a USB, and it's LED, has different things, little features like that. Very good little light, and it has a little thing. It's a bike light. You mount this on the handlebars of your bike, but whatever. I use it for all kind of stuff. All right, so take down. First, you take while it's locked to the rear like that. You swing that down 90 degrees. Pull back, which releases the takedown lever. Separate the upper slide from the frame. Then what you want to do is remove the guide rod and guide rod spring. Real simple. Doesn't take a lot of effort at all. But I'll show you again because I don't know if there's anybody out there who's never done this before. The guide rod and the guide rod spring are under tension. It's a double braided guide rod spring, and there is this little part which is on the edge of the barrel that you can just grab and pull out. Very simple. Grab it, lift it out. That little part that I grabbed and lifted out is designed by John Moses Browning. And right now I'm drawing a blank as to what it's called, but this is a genius piece of design right there. Very genius piece of design. And it has the functionality of, if you see here, there's a little ramp, a little polished ramp. Well, this little doohickey right here, when the weapon is fired and it cycles, it locks back, that little thing drops, and the barrel is kind of like at an angle, like it'll be like this. They're in alignment, weapon's fired, all of a sudden the barrel's kind of like that. Why does it do that? Because the next round is now accommodating to go from the magazine in that ramp. And it makes it a very smooth, reliable action. So then the round goes in, and then the slide goes forward after the weapon is fired, and then boom, it pushes it back into place. So now it's going to be more of a perpendicular position. And I forget what this thing, there's a term or a name for that. It's patented. And again, it was designed by John Moses Browning, who was a genius firearms designer. And I just can't think of what it's called. So anyways, we have our upper slide, which is all stainless steel, taken apart, right? We have our 4.4 inch barrel, which is also steel. And then we have our guide rod, which is this. I think this is also steel or aluminum. It's metal. And then the guide rod spring, which you can see there's paint on one side. This one is considered to be the heavy duty one because of the color of the paint. There's like different factors. When you get one, you'll see some with red paint, some with green paint, some with yellow paint. The heavy duty are like, they're all like pretty doggone good, but this one is designed to be more of a combat pistol. So it has a heavy duty combat spring because this was supposed to be sold to law enforcement. And so it's more of a military law enforcement design. And that's why I got it. So I knew it was going to be one of those battle ready, proven guns. And that's what I wanted. Okay, so now that I got the basic thing stripped down, because it's just a matter of taking off the upper slide, guide rod and guide rod spring, which you saw in the barrel. That's it. Done, right? Well, in this case, what I want to do to really, really, really make sure that I get proper lubrication, I want to do an extra step. Use a little screwdriver. Little flathead screwdriver, as you see right there. Just a little flathead. Put it inside this little huya right here. And then in here. Nice. It's in there. Move this out of the way. What I want to do is remove these grips. Now these grips are made by Hogue. It says right there. It's hard to see, I know. But if you were able to read that, it says Hogue. These are Hogue grips. I don't remember what I paid for them, but they weren't expensive. So you undo the screw, and when you do, you'll see in there There's another part that needs to come out. It's not falling out. There's like a washer in there. And it's a good idea that they put those in there because it keeps the screws from unscrewing themselves. Okay, so there, I got the other one out, and same thing, that washer is not popping out. So what you do is you just kind of lift. Oh, I forgot, I gotta do both. So do the other side too. And you can see on there, there's like some buildup of grease because I probably put some gun grease on here. And that's why we have to maintain these things and lubricate them. Because grease will build up over time. If you got it sitting in your holster, or if it's even in a little pistol bag, dust, grime, grease, it's just part of life. You got to clean your kitchen, you got to clean your bathroom, you got to clean your toilets every Saturday, right? So it's the same thing with the firearm, you got to clean it. Just use the screwdriver tip to, you know, pry open the grips. And then on these particular grips, the Hogues, you'll see it's one piece. It's one piece design. Okay, so with that, what you want to do is in this particular case, there is some oil in there and stuff like that. I wipe that out. I want to get that out of there. These grips are rubber, so you don't want the solvents and different things to break down your rubber grips or whatever. Metal, that's a different story. That's what you want it on. But in this particular case, I don't really need oil on my rubber grips. Matter of fact, I want to avoid solvents and oils on my rubber grips. So I wipe all that out. It'll keep this thing functioning for a lot longer if you just keep these dry. You want the gun to be a little lubricated, but these grips should be dry, especially on the inside. So wipe it out really good. And try to be detail oriented. Remember, this gun is potentially going to save your life one day or somebody else's life, so you know you can be as meticulous as you need to be. And it's like that old saying in the Marines, we take care of our gear because one day our gear is going to take care of us. Alright, so it's pretty good right there. I wiped it down as thoroughly as I really need to. And now as far as checking in there, those little washers haven't fallen out, which is cool because I don't want to lose them. They can stay right there. And then I want to wipe down these screws because they get gunky. And looks a little better already. The good thing about this stuff is that you can go to the Sig website or call their customer service and order more screws and stuff like that. And there's other grips. There's other ways to do this. There's E2 grips, which I was considering, but I really like these Hogues. I really like the way the Hogues feel in my hand, so I didn't get the E2 grips. Now, as you can see here, I'm going to decock. This gun is completely taken apart. So now comes the lubrication process, and that's where this comes into play. You don't need a lot. What I'll use is the Hoppies because it's good stuff. You just need a like literally 3 or 4 drops on this, and maybe a drop or 2 on the actual surface of the gun metal. You know, so I put like 3 or 4 drops there and 3 or 4 drops here. That's it. Now, and then again, you might need this light to find areas that are gunky and need to be cleaned. So there's no carbon fouling buildup on this from firing because I haven't fired it in over a year and a half, but there's still grease and buildup from the last time I lubricated it. Dust or whatever gets attached to it. So with this soft bristle brush, which is nylon or whatever it's made of, these plastic bristles, they're non-abrasive to the metal, so they don't scratch the metal. So you don't want a metal brush. You just lay it on your microfiber towel on the surface. You know, scrub it down. I make little circles or whatever. You want to get underneath any parts where there's, you know, like overlapping, like in that case. So you get underneath there. The decocker, get underneath there. Hit the surface really good. This oil is going to penetrate, which is what you want. And then on the slide rails right there, which is where a lot of metal and metal rub, you definitely want to get in there. And then also flip it over, get to the small part, put a drop. And then now you have this little smaller area and you can get in there like that. Same thing on these other sides of the rail. And then I'm going to go with the big side too. And okay, so now what I want to do is get inside of here. Little ramp right there. Get in there, scrub it. Surface right here. The inside's right there. On the back area where the hammer's at. The surface right here where metal touches metal. And then drop of oil. Boom, just a drop, because there is, if you can see here, there's a spring right there. And whenever you see spring under tension like that, springs that are under tension, you want to put a drop of oil on there. Hit the other side, but I want to get back in here too. So right inside of there, inside the magazine well, if there's any rust. I don't see any rust, but you never know, so hit it real good. A little drop of oil. That's all you need is a drop. And get the surfaces really good. And again, these are bristles, nylon bristles, so you're not scratching the metal. Get inside the magazine well, and it's cool because you can see now, because I can see through the magazine well, so I can literally see the surfaces of where I'm cleaning. Get in there as much as you can. With this little brush, you can pretty much get to most parts of the gun without completely taking, like, because you can take all this stuff apart too, but just for a field strip, which is what we did, field strip it. It's a basic lubrication. We're just doing a lubrication. This is a cleaning and a lubrication because, as you see, we're cleaning, we're scrubbing, right? But I'm just not breaking down the carbon because there's no carbon right now to break down. All these little parts, you just dab a little oil. Not a lot. I could drop here, drop there. Doesn't need a whole lot of oil. Don't over lubricate. You're just wasting oil if you over lubricate. You're just wasting oil. That's all you're doing. Okay, so now anywhere where you see little gaps, you want to get in between those gaps. The trigger guard, behind the trigger guard. You know, all in there. And you know, get in there really good. Use the skinny part. Get into the hard to reach areas. And inside those rails again, the guide rails, both sides. And that's, a lot of it has to do with just lubricating it as well as cleaning it, but you just want to have that oil in there. Alright, so it's been, the surface has been really given a good once over with this brush. A little elbow grease.